my name's Chia, and I love Sonic the Hedgehog. You could say I'm a pretty diehard fan. I've been playing the game since I was 6, I have most of the comics and games, I collect merchandise, I have clothing and jewelry of my favorite characters, I follow fan pages on Instagram to keep up with leaks and news, I cosplay a few of the characters, I even have a Sonic tattoo. I am much more than a casual fan, and I love Sonic the Hedgehog. But enough about me. Today I specifically want to talk about why I love it so much, and specifically the strong female characters it has written within its canon. The way this will work is I have a formulated list of my favorite female Sonic characters that I think represent relatively good examples of strong women in media. This will not include every Sonic female ever because that's a lot to cover, so here are the characters we will be going over. We have Bunny Rainbow, Amy Rose, Tikal the Echidna, Sonia the Hedgehog, Rouge the Bat, and Sally Acorn. If this does well, I may do a part 2 with even more characters because I honestly think there's a lot more I could cover. I also want to preface this by saying that I know there are media sources within the canon where these women are not well represented. Awful writers and time crunches have sometimes made these women smaller than they actually are. But without further ado, let's get started. First up is Bunny Rainbow or Bunny Rabbot. Now, I grew up watching Saturday AM from time to time, but my main glimpse into the world of the Archie comics were the comics themselves. I remember one of my friends sneaking the comics into our elementary school, and during bathroom breaks when we would line up, me and him would sneakily read them. However, I don't think Bunny had that much of an impact on me as a child because I mainly remember Sally and Amy, which we'll get into later. But within the past year, I rewatched Saturday AM and some of the comics, and I fell in love with Bunny as a character.
Well, Antoine, I do declare, what would I ever do without all your help?
She is such an amazing character, and I honestly revere her as maybe one of the best written Sonic characters in terms of women. Bunny is a bunny who is partially roboticized thanks to Dr. Robotnik. Because of this, most of her body is mechanically enhanced in some way, such as strength. So let's just get this out of the way now. This woman is incredibly strong, physically. In Saturday AM and the comics, she is just bashing robots left and right, sometimes outpacing the men.
You want to learn martial arts?
Now, when we take a look at the Archie comics, I specifically want to focus at the pre-Genesis wave. After Bunny was roboticized, she changed her maiden name to reflect her new identity, Rainbow to Rabbot, which is super cool because if this happened to me, I would be on the floor crying hysterically. After changing her name and adjusting to her new body, she joins the Freedom Fighters, in which she did a ton of super badass stuff, like take on Mecha Sonic and beat him down, traded any hope at ever having her real body back by allowing Sonic and the gang to give her upgraded parts, which replaced her roboticized ones, fell in love with Antoine, broke up with him, then got back together with him and got married, but only after enduring his suspected untimely death. She also single-handedly destroyed Eggman's egg carrier, to the point where it exploded. This woman has got to have the strongest emotional and mental state of any character ever because, oh my goodness, this poor woman has gone through it. I think where Bunny really rings true to me is that she's strong and not afraid to show it. I grew up being stronger than most kids my age. I was a rough and tumble tomboy most of my life, and when I grew into adulthood, I tried to mask it by saying to myself, well, guys want a woman that's dainty and weak, or whatever else society was telling me. But Bunny pushed against this narrative in the 90s and the 2000s. She was constantly shown as physically stronger than her teammates and her husband, and was very proud of it.
Like his feet.
What is being wrong with my feet?
Put a sock in it, Antoine.
She was shown as brave and sacrificial, more so than many of her friends, or again, even her own husband, which was super rare to see at the time.
Button it, Antoine. We are giving up. We are not giving up without a fight, Antoine.
And guess what? This didn't stop after she got married. We commonly see this stereotype of women mellowing out and settling down after they get married, but not Bunny. She continues to be a freedom fighter. Not only this, but Bunny has an incredible amount of loyalty, both to her husband, friends, and especially Sally, viewing Sally not only as her princess, but her best friend and role model. She could have left the Freedom Fighters at any point within the comics, but she stayed and continued to fight for her friends' safety and her nation's safety. I honestly don't think Bunny gets enough recognition as a character nowadays. She was such an amazingly written female character, and I know we'll probably never see her again in modern Sonic. But she is such an amazingly strong female character that I wish myself and other people had paid more attention to her growing up. Amy Rose is second up on our list, and Amy is easily the most notable female in the Sonic franchise, appearing in games even before Knuckles. I genuinely have a ton to say about her, but I'll try to keep it as short as possible. I have a lot of love for Amy because she was the first Sonic girl I ever remember seeing on screen. I remember booting up Sonic Adventure 2 and seeing her chase down Sonic while still helping the guys take out Eggman. I love playing with her in the 2-player minigames and grew up watching her on Sonic X. I think I originally took to her because my middle name is Rose, and I was like, oh my gosh, we share a name, that's so cool. But even as an adult, I still have a lot of admiration for how Sega handles Amy, especially in recent years.
Have no fear. Amy Rose is here.
She's had various versions of her throughout the years, such as in the Archie comics, Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2, the IDW comics, Sonic X, Sonic Prime, as well as multiple appearances in several games. Let's start with her appearances in earlier media. I think one thing I really adore about Amy in the comics, specifically the Archie comics, is that she was in love with Sonic, as she's been shown in other media, but she knows that Sonic loves Sally and doesn't get in the way of that, like, at all. In fact, when she finds out they're going to be married, she congratulates them and cries tears of joy that both of her friends are going to be happy. I think a lot of people who like Amy constantly villainize Sally for quote-unquote getting in the way, but like, Amy and Sally had a really great relationship in the Archie comics, and I think it was really cool that so many women in the Sonic universe interacted in such a genuine and friendly way, especially Amy, who has always interacted with other women by building them up. I remember playing Sonic Adventure 2 as a kid and seeing Amy, and I thought it was so cool that she was all pink and wearing this poofy dress and slinging this giant hammer at the same time. She is so strong physically, no matter what media source you look at, she's constantly shown as being strong physically. Not only that, but she's able to keep up with the guys really easily, and has even managed to land hits on robots when the guys couldn't. I think my favorite thing about her, though, is how both merciless and merciful she can be. Like, she'll take out robots without a second thought, but in Sonic Adventure 2, we also see her talking to Shadow, convincing him to literally save the Earth. I often wonder if Amy wasn't there, how differently things would have ended.
I've gotta go now. I have to keep my promise to Maria, and you.
Going back to earlier media like Sonic Adventure, we see Amy going on this adventure all to save a Flicky, which I honestly admire because I'm a huge bird person. But she literally goes through all these extremes to save this bird, like the egg carrier and fighting Gamma and running around Station Square. It's crazy, like, especially the egg carrier part. This thing is firing missiles left and right, and she's just hopping on up there to save this bird. She also talks to Gamma and defends him from Sonic, much like we see with Shadow in Sonic Adventure 2.
No! He helped me before by letting me escape. This robot is different.
Now, this is the Amy that I grew up with, and I think she definitely had the most impact on me. Similar to Bunny, I viewed her as this girl who could be super cute and feminine and simultaneously kick ass next to the guys. Growing up, I thought it was so cool how she was so open with her emotions and flirting while still keeping her eyes on the dangers at hand and staying level-headed. I'm not really going to touch on her character arc in Sonic X because I think the American dub did all the characters a great disservice, and since that's the only one I've seen, I don't feel comfortable talking about it. In games around the 2010s, we didn't see Amy appear much. She appears in games like Sonic Generations, Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic Unleashed, but only as a minor character with a handful of speaking lines. I think Amy really peaked as a character again a few years back, but specifically in the past 2 or 3 years. Sonic Mania recently made her a playable character. She was also a main character in Sonic Frontiers and both seasons of Sonic Prime. She's also becoming a playable character in Sonic Superstars. But let's focus on Sonic Frontiers specifically. I loved being able to interact with Amy in Frontiers. We don't see her doing any battling in this game, but we do see her more mellow side. She wants to desperately help the Coco and even challenges Sonic a few times.
Are you telling me you would leave behind someone in need?
I think what really hits me was when she said she wants to go out on her own after they get off the Starfall Island.
I'm not sure what happened, but I know what I saw. A love that transcended time. I believe in that power. When this is over, I want to share that love with the world, even though it may take us far apart.
We never really see Amy do anything like that, and thanks to good writing, I think her true nature really showed in Frontiers. We got to see something really cool in those few sentences, and it's that Amy has ambitions that don't include the guys, and I think that's really awesome. In the recently aired Sonic Prime, we also get to see the return of the fighting side of Amy as she fights along with her friends while still remaining level-headed and a bit flirtatious with Sonic. Now, because of this show focusing so much on alternate versions, I'm trying to just focus on the true reality Amy that we're used to, but I think each of the alternate reality Amys share something with her. We have a jungle reality that shows Amy's love for nature and how she wants to care for creatures, while the pirate reality shows that she's a team player who loves to spend time with people around her. I think they did a great job of tying it all back to the Amy we know and love, and I think they did a really great job of characterizing her here too. I think the IDW comics are my favorite characterization of Amy. She's shown as a leader of a rebellion, organized and responsible. She cares deeply for her friends, worries often, and tries her best to keep everyone safe. Even though she loves flirting and spending time with Sonic, it's not really the focus of her character as it has been in past years. I love how she's shown as intelligent and knowledgeable, loving and genuine, cautious yet accepting. They balance her personality out so well in the comics, and I really enjoy reading them for that reason. I've gone on about Amy for a while, so I'll go ahead and move on, but I know a lot of people share the same sentiment as me, which is, even if she wasn't well written at the time, she was one of the first examples of a strong female character I saw on screen as a young girl. I think Amy was my first awakening of, hey, I can be feminine and strong, I don't have to choose, and I think I'll always think fondly of her because of that. Much like Amy, I have a lot to say about Tikal. She is one of my favorite characters in Sonic, easily in my top 3. My introduction to Tikal was the 2-player minigames in Sonic Adventure 2, which was the first Sonic game I played. And I didn't know anything about her other than that I played her character against my dad sometimes in the treasure hunting minigame. As an adult, I found a copy of the original Sonic Adventure and popped it in my GameCube. And I just kind of fell in love with Tikal's character because I think she's so different than so many other Sonic women. Tikal belongs to the Knuckles clan, which was wiped out way before Sonic's time. Tikal grew up in a period of war where she was constantly fighting her father, the chief of the village, and his ideas. Let me repeat that. This girl, we know she is most likely a child, was fighting her father's ideas during a war that he was most likely leading. During this time of war, Tikal makes friends with the Chow and their guardian, Chaos. Although most people in the village just see a shrine for the Master Emerald, Tikal actually went out of her way to make friends with Chaos, the guardian of the Master Emerald, when no one else would. Eventually, Tikal's father tries to steal the Master Emerald, which sends Chaos on a destructive rampage, and guess what Tikal does? The first thing she does is block her father's entire armed army from entering. She blocks the path and begins pleading with them. Do you know how terrifying that would be? Think about this for a moment. An entire army in front of her. Unfortunately, her father and the army don't care and go ahead and charges her. She gets knocked unconscious. But the second thing she does, I think, is what really gets me. Once she comes to and sees Chaos in a rage, she looks around. Her father and almost her entire clan is dead. So naturally, she seals Chaos in the Master Emerald with her own spirit. And this gets rid of her physical body. I feel like so many people overlook Tikal's story. Can you even imagine the absolute resolve this would take? How emotionally and physically draining this would be? It's insane to think about how this character endured so much and sacrificed herself for not only her people, but Chaos, who was literally killing them. Even when her storyline ends and Chaos is calmed down again, she takes him by the hand and leaves with him. Their whereabouts are never discussed further, but can you imagine taking the hand of someone who killed almost your entire race and continuing to live harmoniously with them? That's such an incredible and amazing thing to do. And part of the reason she's able to even do this is because she admits that her father was wrong and realizes that he is now dead due to his actions.
Did you notice the presence guarding these children? He's a very loving and gentle creature. These little creatures are too vulnerable without its protection.
I could go on about Tikal for hours. She fought for her beliefs, even if it went against her entire clan and their ideology. She had no love interest and was instead focused on knowledge and her beliefs. She gave up her entire life just to be able to save a person who killed almost her entire race. She is such an amazingly selfless character that I wish I was able to experience earlier in life. I genuinely think Tikal is the best written Sonic character. She's only been in one game, so Sega hasn't been able to get to her with their bad writing, and she can still be found in modern Sonic mobile games, which gives me hope that we may see a return from her in the future. Sonia is up next, and I'm sure there's some of you who are watching this who have no idea who she is, but she's from Sonic Underground. Yet another character that Sonic has kind of forgot about, and I won't talk about her for very long, but growing up, I loved Sonic Underground, though apparently it didn't do very well for itself. Sonic Underground takes Sonic and gives him two siblings, Sonia and Manic. The three are triplets derived from royalty and are on the search for their mother, Queen Alina, after she abandoned them for their own safety when Robotnik took over. I think Sonia is often viewed as this stereotypical girl, as she hates getting dirty, puts a lot of pride in her appearance, and is constantly shown getting her hair done, shopping, etc. However, I think this is really cool.
Ah! My brand new Guccini! Now you're really gonna see road rage.
She's shown doing all these quote-unquote stereotypical things while still being an amazing freedom fighter. She can constantly be seen creating plans of attack, blasting robots out of existence. She literally has a keytar that's like a laser Glock. She's constantly shown as having no love interest except for that weird subplot where she's in love with Knuckles for some reason, as she's focused on keeping her brothers and Mobius safe. I'm going to move on because I'm trying to keep this video relatively short, but growing up and seeing Sonia on screen was a constant reminder that you can be feminine and still be strong, like I've said previously. By watching Sonia, I kind of had this thought of, oh okay, I can wear dresses and still be strong and confident and amazing. I don't have to choose one or the other. Again, I know we'll never see her in modern Sonic, but I think she was a great character for girls to have growing up, even if it was only for a short amount of time.
I've had it with the mud and the grit and the oil, but most of all, I've had it with you two.
Chill, Sonia. Don't be such an SAP.
Meaning?
Spiny, annoying princess.
I honestly think a lot of people go to Rouge when they think of a strong female character in the world of Sonic. After all, she's an adult, she's constantly shown as being agile and deceptive, she uses flirting and cheating to get what she wants. She's a really cool character. Unfortunately, if you've been on any side of the internet that involves Rouge, she's commonly used as an object and constantly shown as just being sexual or flirtatious, which is really disheartening because there's way more than that to her character. My first introduction to Rouge was in Sonic Adventure 2, where she was an undercover spy for the president, which is so cool, by the way. She's shown as being a treasure hunter who is in love with jewels and wants to take them for her own, even beating Knuckles to them sometimes. I think it's so cool how she prides herself on her skills. She knows she's good and isn't afraid to show it. She doesn't get shy or turn away from a challenge. She faces everything head on.
Saving my life. Don't think I owe you one. You just wanted to hold my hand, didn't you? That's why you saved me. You're such a creep.
I find myself loving really early adaptations of Rouge, such as in Sonic Heroes and Sonic Adventure, but specifically Sonic Heroes, where we get to see her team up with Shadow and Omega. She truly shows that she cares for them both and acts as the team leader to unite them. Not only this, but in a lot of earlier adaptations, she's shown as being strong physically as well. Fighting Knuckles and other enemies, she definitely proves herself as an opponent. She also willingly goes undercover and gets herself into dangerous situations because she knows she can handle herself. That takes a lot of confidence. The elephant in the room with Rouge is that a lot of people think that Rouge gets what she wants because she's drawn as this sexy character. And that's all she is a sexy character. And I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, look at official Sega artworks and outfits. They're clearly not trying to hide that. However, I honestly think that it only adds to her character. She uses her charm to get what she wants. She flirts with people to get them flustered so she can gain the upper hand. But that's not all there is to her. Yes, she's constantly called sexy by Sega and the fans, but guess what? She also has tons of other qualities that I think, combined with her appeal and charm, give her the upper hand in battle and in a lot of other situations. Recently, Sonic Prime aired, and we got Rouge in it, which I was super pumped about. And while they took away her suggestive outfit and the flirtatiousness, I feel like overall they did a decent job of her characterizations. She's tough and commonly shown as the leader, she's knowledgeable in what she cares about, and she doesn't back down from a fight. I'm trying to save time, so I'll stop there, but I think Rouge is a deeper character than what most people perceive her as being.
I've been searching for years for a super rare and shiny gem called the Paradox Prism.
I'm not going to spend a ton of time on Sally because honestly, I feel like of all the characters on this list, she's the one I know the least about. But I remember when growing up and reading those comics in the hallway, seeing her being a princess and a freedom fighter, I just thought that was the coolest thing. Again, this wasn't something we commonly saw in media at the time. I also think it was really cool that not only was she a freedom fighter, she was the leader, and she constantly challenged Sonic, who was basically her opposite. Very cocky and arrogant, went into battle without thinking, and she was the total opposite. Challenged him all the time.
Maybe the old hedgehog brain is a little overcooked. No biggie, huh?
Challenging the male lead was not something that was commonly seen in the 90s and early 2000s. It just wasn't. She has such an unyielding loyalty to her friends and the people who call her their princess. She's constantly shown as just being this caring, loving, level-headed, logical woman who just fights for everything she believes in with so much passion and grace. It's really inspiring. And even while she's doing all this amazing stuff, she still makes time to be a girl and enjoy girly things, which I think, again, is really, really cool. She even has time amidst all this to fall in love, which, again, seeing a woman fall in love and at the same time just be this total badass was not something you saw in the 90s and early 2000s. Women would either be cool and not get a guy because they were bossy and bitchy, or they would get a guy and they would mellow out and settle down. She's also just shown as being like stupid smart, especially in the technology area. I think this is a really unique asset of hers that commonly gets overlooked, especially today, but like, she's a woman in STEM. Again, not something we saw at this time.
I'm gonna overload this sucker.
Kind of going back to Amy, I remember seeing Sally being villainized a lot growing up, of people being like, oh, well, she's bossy. Oh, well, she's mean. Oh, well, Sonic and Amy are meant to be, and she's getting in the middle of them. But much like Amy, she always had good relationships with the women around her and constantly built them up, being nothing but genuine and loving towards them. Sally, Bunny, and Amy, and a bunch of other women in the Sonic canon would make plans and team up and attack. Like, that's so cool that women were able to come together and just be strong together without the help of men. That was so inspiring for me to see as a young girl. I need to wrap this up, so I'll make this outro quick. But I want to say thank you. I'm a mass communications major, and one of my favorite things to do is just analyze media sources. And over the past several years, Sonic has just been on my mind constantly. There is so much canon media to Sonic that I feel like I will forever be digging through the piles of games and comics to do a media analysis. I know Sega has not always been great at writing female characters, and I definitely only scratched the surface of female characters and what they're capable of in this video, but I still hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I will have more media analyses in the future, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.